And I decided to, right? Looking at this sweet baby guy last night that, again, Tiger Knock, thank you for finding this guy. Absolutely a lunatic, right? Thank you, Tiger Knock. But looking at this guy last night made me remember our friend at D.E.I. After 5. Our dear friend, Sasha. And her channel, right? Her channel doesn't really have a whole lot of views or a lot of subs, right? She got 721 subscribers, 166 videos. None of her videos really have a whole heckin' lot of views. The last one we watched was Is D.E.I. a Dirty Word? I kind of wish she wrote the names of the people in the title because, like, I can't fucking read that on the thumbnail, man. I can't read that. But it made me like just want to check in on her, see what was going on. And I looked at a couple of her shorts. I'm gonna see if this will play.
So now this is the part where I get on my
it's not.
curriculum.
It's playing the other video. I don't know why this one is so finicky. It doesn't like playing. There we go.
Crisis plan. We are in crisis mode with DEI. It is under attack. We see it in Project 2025. Let's eliminate it altogether. We see more than half of our states passing some sort of legislation or proposing some sort of legislation to make it so you can't even talk about it. University administrators in Iowa can't even talk about it.
Yeah.
How's that for freedom of speech? So when we say a crisis plan, what we're talking about is protecting what DEI is and what it stands for. And we're also protecting the rights of all of those people we just spoke about. Yes, we're talking about Blacks. Yes, we're talking about the Latin community. We're also talking about disabled, veterans, LGBTQ+, neurodivergence. We're talking about someone, all of us. Crisis plan.
And I was like, okay, what the fuck are they talking about? What the fuck? This is the this is the crisis management strategies for DEI advocates. And then the future of DEI, I think, was another one I would have been interested in watching. But these are a lot of long videos, and it made me also be like, hey, wait a minute. There's a new website up here, the Equity Equation LLC. What did she mean by this? So I opened this in a tab. Sasha, who has 721 subscribers and literally no fucking view traction despite interviewing all of these economic powerhouses in corporate industry, now has her own website. Inclusive culture speaker, coach, consultant, facilitator, transforming lives and corporate culture through knowledge and action and inclusion. A book Sasha today. And then she has Forbes, Business Insider, New York Times, Entrepreneur, Tribune, Essence, MSNBC, Entrepreneur, Michigan Chronicle, WHRU, Fox, Soul, and Newsweek. Sasha Thompson is a seasoned expert in cultivating inclusive workplaces and fostering psychological safety. Sasha collaborates with organizations, businesses, and teams to facilitate cultural evolution, guiding them through intricate processes that prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion. Her approach begins with a profound emphasis on the transformative potential of inclusive environments. Download Sasha's media kit for more information. I have been showcasing this woman for 9 months. She's been making videos for a lot longer than that, but I've only found out about her 9 months ago. And I have been showcasing her for at least that long. I have been trying to show people like James O'Keefe and James Lindsay and Robbie Starbuck what these people are saying and what these people are doing. And it's gotten to the point where I have been ignored, and she has now set up a website where she does consulting as well. It is only going to get worse if people aren't noticing what's going on. She might have been getting interviews with all of these CEOs and CMOs and HR people and professors at universities. She might have had the leverage to be able to interview these people about DEI, but now she is also a consultant who is going to be getting paid to give talks on this nonsense. It is just ramping up, and I have been trying to showcase this woman for months now. The anime woman debuff is real. Give your audience the power of change. Sasha Thompson is a dedicated advocate for creating inclusive workplaces and nurturing psychological safety. She skillfully connects inclusion and community engagement, fostering harmonious relationships that enhance overall workplace dynamics. Transforming lives and corporate culture through knowledge and action in inclusion. What to expect, Sasha shares a story of inspiration and transformation. She exudes inspiration and warmth as a speaker, captivating audiences with her charismatic delivery. Through her speaking style, both in person and virtual, she guides listeners to introspect and recognize subtle and overt biases affecting interactions, both within and outside workplaces. With straightforward, actionable approach, she paves the way toward a culture of inclusion, leaving her audience with a profound sense of purpose. Her sessions inspire transformative shifts in business seamlessly and positively. Sasha's speaking engagements span national and international stages, encompassing both physical and virtual spaces. Reasons to book Sasha. Not into complexities. Sasha's not about complexities. She is about action and change. That's why her concepts are simple, yet her message is powerful. Relatable and engaging, Sasha exudes warmth and confidence that brings her audience into her world and leaves them ready for a transformation. Her authenticity and conviction inspire change. A seasoned DEI professional with over 20 years of experience in DEI in the workplace, Sasha has a wealth of knowledge and expertise in change management and company culture transformation. Each keynote or speaking engagement is tailored to the audience. She will address the specific issues or opportunities your team or audience is facing. Sasha has positioned herself as the voice for the voiceless. She not only has lived experience and professional knowledge, but she knows how to make space for uncomfortable conversations to unfold. While cleverly inserting her knowledge and advocating for the lesser heard, she is an activist on social media, a resource hub in her communities, and a bridge builder. Quoted by Paina Lynn Roberts, PhD, founder of Reap and Leap Coaching and Consulting. Sasha is a passionate thought leader who's demonstrated a genuine commitment to supporting organizations and leaders with enacting real change and empowerment. More than just a DEI practitioner, she is an advocate, business partner, and influencer who provides practical and strategic solutions that help clients build transformational inclusive cultures. Quoted by Heather Ricketts, Vice President of People Canadian Dental Services. Invite Sasha to speak at your conference, event, corporate function, or anywhere inclusive culture and psychological safety conversations are needed and happening for change. Complete the form below to book Sasha Thompson now. And then you have all the information here. The 60 Days to Self-Care DEI Journal by Sasha Thompson helps DEI practitioners create a self-care routine specific to their industry. Order your copy. Literally, one of the videos I posted was her talking to a university professor and them talking about ways that you can have self-care as you're constantly doing the work. How does she have 20 years of experience on something that's only been around a half a dozen years? Because DEI, by other names, has existed for decades. So she does have 20 years of experience doing DEI work. It just wasn't always called DEI. Richard also, thank you for 5. So make a Kirsche Alting website to counter message her. A Kirsche Alting. Oh my god. Book her for an interview. You know, I wonder if I could. I could interview her and be like, I would like to usher some DEI changes into the anime sphere. You know, I wonder. Let's see what else is here. About the equity equation. We bridge the gap between policy and implementation. Oh, I see she's taking notes from her interview with Cheryl Dijja. A thriving workplace embraces inclusivity and prioritizes psychological safety for all its members. Beyond just acknowledging diverse individuals, true success lies in cultivating an environment that strengthens the business and promotes inclusivity. And in her interview with that professor, they also talked about how white people have the job of standing up for the voiceless. She gave that example of that guy who was at a business dinner and he noticed that a speaker was going to tell a joke with racial connotations, and he struggled with whether he should speak up for people who might be made uncomfortable by that and catch ire from people he works with, or stay quiet and just let it happen. And of course, in her story, he stood up for the people who would have been made uncomfortable. Should make a fake name and background to infiltrate their ranks easier. Look, I can't give away all of my secrets. Got a small raise today, have some Fox tax. Oh, hell yeah! Congratulations, Evil Mandrake, on your fucking raise, dude. Thank you for the 2. Everyone clapped. The equity equation serves as a catalyst bridging the divide between policy and implementation. Our guidance and coaching empower executives to establish and sustain effective programs that foster diversity, equity, and inclusion, contributing to a workplace marked by practical and impactful results. Sasha Thompson is an inclusion culture curator and founder of the Equity Equation. Sasha Thompson is the founder of the Equity Equation, LLC, a boutique inclusive culture coaching and consulting firm. How did I not mushmouth that sentence? Based in Washington, D.C. With nearly 20 years of experience within the education, nonprofit, and tech industries, Sasha's work is about removing barriers and providing support in order to get a place of equality. She helps executives and leaders have that meaningful dialogue and coaches them on necessary long-term changes that develop institutional cultures of DEI. She's also the host of DEI After 5, a podcast focused on the diversity, equity, and inclusion industry. It says she's been featured in here. She's got little accolades here, I guess. Are you ready to discover how we can help your company? You could have mushmouthed it and we never would have known. This is some resources she has. The Resilience Pathway, struggling with a toxic or unsafe work environment. The Resilience Pathway coaching program is specifically designed to help you navigate these challenges. Our career coaching focuses on psychological safety, offering practical tools to set boundaries, improve well-being, and regain control over your professional life. Build resilience with the support of experienced coaches who understand how to thrive in difficult workplace environments. Unlock your leadership potential, essential workbooks for leaders. Are you ready to elevate your leadership skills and foster stronger connections with your team? Our comprehensive workbooks are designed to help leaders like you build effective communication strategies, resolve conflicts, develop healthy relationships, and enhance problem-solving abilities, all crucial for successful leadership. It's like, man, that's interesting, right? If we go back to her speaker page, is her podcast only on YouTube? Is she on other platforms like Spotify? If you go to the podcast tab on her website, all of her podcasts are also uploaded here, so it's not only on YouTube. I don't know if she's on Spotify because I haven't checked Spotify, but it is here on her website. Can we get our hands on one of those workbooks? I would like to. I'd be interested in the workbooks. But it has all of these places she's been featured in. And let me see what my next tab is here. She has another website as well. She has her Sasha Thompson website. I forgot about that. Her Sasha Thompson website. Meet Sasha Thompson. Sasha Thompson is the founder of the Equity Equation, a boutique inclusive culture consulting and coaching firm, and the Equity Leadership Institute, an inclusive leadership development firm, both in the Washington, D.C. area, with 20 plus years of experience within the education, nonprofit, and tech industries. Sasha's work is about removing barriers or providing support to achieve equity. She helps her clients by filling the gap between where they are now and where they want to be. Clients will reach their highest potential by identifying where growth is desired and setting goals and objectives while holding themselves accountable. She was most recently featured in Forbes, Newsweek, and Business Insider, and was a contributor on MSNBC's The Cross Connection. Sasha is an International Coaching Federation, ICF, associate, certified coach, certified professional diversity coach, 4 stages of psychological safety certified coach, and Maslow certified leadership coach, and Maslow certified executive culture coach. Sasha received her bachelor's degree in sociology, concentrating on cultural diversity and ethnicity, and a master's in educational policy, planning, and leadership from the College of William and Mary. She has also acquired her master's of business admin from Johns Hopkins University, where she focused on management and marketing. She's a priest in the Church of Tyrants, unfortunately so. Unfortunately so. And so reading this and seeing her new website made me want to look up about the MSNBC Cross Connection. I could not find the MSNBC Cross Connection. I know previously on stream I showed a interview of her on MSNBC, and I'll show like my little browser page here. This link is highlighted purple. Is travel reimbursement for abortions the new corporate blah, blah, blah? This is purple, which means I've showed this on stream before. I'm sick of hearing that preface literally everything they say, man.
But they have to say something. So that part of this is new. The giving to political campaigns is not. That has always been happening. And I think we're now at a time where employees and customers and clients are asking for more transparency. And so that's how we're starting to see both sides of this coin being played. We're starting to see, okay, wait a minute, you can't say one thing here and then act another way.
And this show clearly shows Sasha on MSNBC giving this talk. I don't remember when I showed this on stream. I don't think that section was made into a standalone vid. So if I could ask Ziz and KB to find when that happened, we should definitely make that segment into a standalone, because that's going to have more information. John Hopkins, the literal Fed-iversary. Reimbursement. All right, you don't make fun of me. And also, since I couldn't find anything regarding the cross-connection on Google, I found this on LinkedIn. And I saw this on LinkedIn, Rethinking DEI, Moving Beyond Buzzwords. And I was like, I don't know who Kim Clark is. I've never heard of Reverend Deborah Johnson. But Lily Zhang was triggering my brain. And I was like, I've heard this fucking name before. I don't know if I've spoken about Lily or if I've read about Lily somewhere. But this person is like setting off alarms in my head. I was like, I know who this is. I just don't remember how I know who this is. And so I went into looking up Lily Zhang, but let me read this article first. As we navigate through the ever-evolving landscape of diversity, equity, and inclusion, I wanted to take a moment to share some reflections and insights that have emerged from recent discussions and engagements. Over the past year, I've been fortunate to participate in various forums discussing the future of DEI, and I'd like to invite you to join the conversation. I'm dying. I observed a waning enthusiasm for DEI initiatives approximately a year and a half ago. And this was published January 10th, 2024. While organizations were still keen on scheduling workshops and learning opportunities, it seemed like many were merely checking the box without truly integrating the principles into their core practices. And again, this is what Cheryl Dijja was saying when she gave her interview about what B.R.I.D.G.E.I is trying to do as far as transformation in the industry and how they view DEI is going. Once again, B.R.I.D.G.E.I is not changing the language of DEI. B.R.I.D.G.E.I is not a new acronym for DEI. B.R.I.D.G.E.I is the initiative of all of the changes to DEI that all of these corporations, all of these industries are marching in lockstep towards. Does Kirsche have cough Tourette's? What does he mean by this? What does he mean by this? And this is also when I fact-checked Tim Pool. When Tim Pool was saying, look at Charlemagne, even he is saying DEI isn't working. But Tim didn't play the full clip when Charlemagne went on to explain DEI isn't working because it's not going far enough. In response, I made a conscious shift in my approach, focusing less on the concept of DEI itself and more on the tangible outcomes of our efforts. Additionally, I broadened my scope from organizational initiatives to centering my work around people leaders. And we've seen a lot of the DEI practitioners, in companies. They're removing the DEI consultant, they're removing DEI manager and whatnot, diversity and equity and inclusion leader. They're removing that and they're calling them people leaders or something that's much less politically charged so they can go under the radar a bit. We've seen that happening probably since about March or April. By infusing the substance of DEI into experiential learning sessions and making demographic data a standard component of results reviews, I noticed a significant reduction in pushback. You don't say. You don't say. The key to this shift was embedding DEI into the very fabric of our process, making it an integral part rather than a mere add-on. We began addressing issues like psychological safety at an organizational level, dissecting it through demographics and intersecting identities, fostering more meaningful and deliberate conversations. The question often arises, is DEI going away? My answer is yes, in its current form. However, this evolution is not a cause for concern, but an opportunity to reimagine our strategies. During a recent LinkedIn live session hosted by Kim Clark, where I had the pleasure of joining Lily Zhang and Reverend Deborah Johnson, we delve into the importance of devising a strategic plan to propel DEI work forward. I invite you to watch the replay here for further insights. Here are a few key takeaways that I hope resonate with you. The challenges we face are not new. It's about devising a strategy to advance the work, shifting the focus from words to outcomes. Engaging white men in the process is crucial. Exclusivity undermines the collective effort required for meaningful change. Chat, ever since I made that fucking video on Sherm, ever since Sherm basically said this, I have been saying what they're going to be doing is trying to stop being so confrontational to white men. Because if they don't have white men also on board with pushing their propaganda, they're not going to be able to completely transform entire industries. Do not believe their lies. Do not believe the flowery language. Do not believe they've had a change of heart and want to stop being racist towards you. They are lying. They are telling you they are lying. Let's reimagine our tactics, moving beyond the covert integration of DEI, sneaking in the veggies. I don't know if I ever put a clip out on Twitter of her saying sneaking in the veggies, but I know that this is in one of the videos that is on my channel at the moment. I'm like 90% sure that one of the videos I have on my channel as a standalone highlight is when she was talking about sneaking in the veggies. I'm pretty sure. KB can correct me if I'm wrong.
These different practices, right? It's enough of us in this space to get that done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love the doing it without saying it. What I say is I'm sneaking in the DEI vegetables.
I'm sneaking in the DEI vegetables. You see, they don't want to eat it, but you gotta make them. So you slip a little bit of sneaky DEI veggies inside their mashed potatoes and their chicken tendies. And once they get used to those, you can introduce even more. And one day, you won't even need to sneak them in anymore because they'll willingly eat them.
There you go.
I was like,
I love it. Let me write that one down too.
We're going to sneak it in. We're going to sneak it in. You don't know it's broccoli, but it's broccoli in there.
I love how bold they are when they think they're talking to the people that believe with them. Because, like, I can't imagine any of them think that someone like me would come across this video and actually fucking watch it. Trying to Trojan horse their ideology. That's how they've always done this. This has always been a Trojan horse, and people either don't care because they believe it will get them good boy points, or they're part of the regime who thinks that they will help usher in the new utopia and they will be someone of privilege and power. Or they're one of the people who are just like, well, I'm just a single guy and I need my job. What can I do? Wells Fargo Bank also has the DEI links. Yep. Where are they putting those veggies? I don't know. I don't know if KB's in here and he can hear me asking these things, but I hope him or Ziz are in here because I'm not writing it down. I'm not writing things down, man. To embracing a decolonized approach, recognizing that the master's tools can't dismantle the master's house. We must think outside conventional frameworks. Interesting. Recognizing that the master's tools can't dismantle the master's house. What did that sweet baby guy say?
I didn't even notice you beat it.
Sweet baby guy said he wants to burn the gaming industry to the ground. What did that other, I can't remember if it was a journalist or another developer, but they said that soon these people won't have any games to buy at all. All of these people know what they're doing. They know that they're lying to you. They are smug in that they're lying to you because they think either you won't notice or if you do, there's not enough of you to make a difference. If they weren't worried, the propaganda wouldn't be necessary. There's always the indie games. Yeah, they are we are cultural destroyers. We're going to despunk your culture. They're grifters. Of course they're gonna lie. I wouldn't call these people grifters, right? Because these people genuinely believe in this nonsense that they are pushing. People like Sasha aren't the malicious priests who know that they're lying to you. She is someone who genuinely believes in the work that they are doing and thinks that by doing this work, they are on the right side of history. Right? There's a difference between the priests who know they're lying and someone like Sasha who has been propagandized to believe she is a good person because she's doing this. An idiot, basically. Yeah, a useful idiot. She's a true believer, trademark. What is the end point, though? What exactly is the reward for all of this? They have a cultural victory. American values are no longer what people practice. Our chuddy-buddy opinions will no longer matter. Their culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion will be the de facto culture of our Western nations. They will have transformed things in the Marxist view, and we will be ruled by that code. These people haven't drank the Kool-Aid. Their blood is the Kool-Aid. They grift in the industry, but they're honest in their beliefs. And that's what makes it a bit difficult, right? Because it's like, their beliefs are demented and not rooted in reality, but they truly believe that they are good people for doing this. I am genuinely interested in your thoughts on the future of DEI, where you feel you need support, and what changes you wish to see today. Your insights are invaluable as we collectively chart a course towards a more inclusive and equitable future. Feel free to share your thoughts directly with me. We have a whole bunch of people down here commenting. Acute care nurse practitioner. Oh, there's Kim Clark again. Thank you for the post, Sasha, and for being key to the conversation. May it give us all tools. I really wanted to watch this, right? I really wanted to watch this, but I couldn't find it. Like, this isn't a video. This is just like an image. DEI needs a communication plan. And I tried searching for this on Google, and I found Kim's LinkedIn post, but the video also doesn't work there. So I have absolutely no idea where to find this panel, and I would love to watch this, because this seems like it would give quite a bit of information. How are the investors taking all those losses from all the DEI disasters? That's a good question. Comes in part from a totally broken moral and epistemological framework. They don't believe it's wrong to be deceptive in furtherance of the greater good, and they don't believe in objective reality. It's a very dangerous set of ideals. Yeah, it is. It looks like a loss of IQ. In order to understand how your enemy is fighting you, you need to understand the language they use and what their plans are. All of these videos that I've been showing you have like less than 100 views typically. Nobody is watching these. Nobody is talking about these. And if you don't understand how they're fighting you, how can you understand how to fight back? You're going to be surprised again and again, and you're going to say, how could this happen, if you don't directly listen to what they're telling you they're doing? You're an investor, you're laughing all the way to the bank, but you invested in Tesla, not Disney. Now, the corpos are able to ride the DEI losses because cheap money from banks and investments who get their money from the government and retirement funds. Corrupt version of the Tao. And, where else am I going from here? Because I know that there were a couple of articles. Let me just click on my tabs real quick to see where the fuck I am, okay? Let me just see where I am here. This was on Kim's channel. That's the video here. This is more about Kim. This was... I don't know what this is. Hold on. I don't know what this is. This is a Forbes article.
The fucking tabs, you psychopath.
Okay, so this was in Sasha's website where she said that she was featured in Forbes. This was an article that I found that has her mentioned in it. So this is Black Women in DEI Are Under Attack, March 12th, 2024, by Janice Gassam Asare, senior contributor at Forbes. I help create strategies for more diversity, equity, and inclusion. Dr. Sharita Golden is the latest victim of the conservative attacks on DEI. It was recently announced that Dr. Golden stepped down from her role as the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer at Johns Hopkins Medicine. There we go. There's the glowy word again. You guys said that was a glowy institution. What is her PhD in? I don't know. That's a good question. Have I ever heard about bookmark folders in which you can organize your bookmarks?
Nim.
Bookmarks hate?
Nim.
The Baltimore Banner reported that 2 months ago she drew public ire. She drew public ire when she defined privilege as a set of unearned benefits given to people who are in a specific social group, going on to say that privilege operates on personal, interpersonal, cultural, and institutional levels, and it provides advantages and favors to members of dominant groups at the expense of members of other groups. I feel like she actually just described what affirmative action is. I think she just described affirmative action, but like backwards, right? The part of her definition that likely angered the masses was when she specifically named the different groups that have privilege, including white people, able-bodied people, heterosexuals, cisgender people, males, Christians, middle or owning class people, middle-aged people, and English-speaking people. Wait, hold on a second. What does she mean by middle-class people? I thought these fucking commies were all for the working class. What did she mean by this? After a swarm of public backlash, some leaders within the institution pushed back against this definition, which subsequently led hundreds of students and staff at the university to send a letter in support of Dr. Golden. Dr. Sharita Golden's experience ironically aligns with most organizations' typical and historic stance towards black women. Didn't we just read, like, statistics that said black women were one of the most employed groups in the country? What did they mean by this? Shared DEI consultant and decolonial educator Joaquina Reed. Whether we are talking about Dr. Claudine Gay or Henrietta Lacks, institutions of higher learning have routinely practiced anti-blackness and racism as standard modes of operation. Wasn't Dr. Claudine Gay the, like, Harvard dean that got fired for plagiarism? How is that anti-blackness? Hold on, wait a minute. It was anti-fraud. Yeah, I was gonna say. When black women are on the job market, it's imperative that they begin to ask discerning questions relating to an organization's resilience, readiness, and resolve to make equity, inclusion, and justice an embodied organizational practice. We have to make sure that we walk into the proverbial door inquiring about the retention and promotion rates specific to black women. Earlier this year, Harvard's Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer, Dr. Sherry A. Charleston, faced backlash after an anonymous complaint was filed with the university, accusing Dr. Charleston of plagiarism. According to the allegations, there were 28 instances in Dr. Charleston's doctoral dissertation that were plagiarized. A similar playbook was followed to take down Harvard's former president, Dr. Claudine Gay, who resigned from her position in January. Although Dr. Gay wasn't in a DEI role per se, being the first black president of arguably the world's most elite institution made her a prime target for the DEI opposition. Excuse me, hold on, question. How is calling out plagiarism being some sort of, like, culture warrior? What does their race have to do with plagiarism? Help. Right, like, I don't understand the argument here. They're saying plagiarism was okay. That's pretty much what I'm getting here. They're just like, you shouldn't call out plagiarism because that's racist. As the anti-DEI movement gains popularity, black women in DEI positions have been under greater scrutiny, while having to navigate varying forms of misogynoir. Wow, imagine that. People who are hired for positions that they have no business being in now gain greater scrutiny for being hired for not being able to do the position. Wow. Wow, who would have fucking thought that would have happened? What the fuck is that word? Misogynoir is the new word of misogyny. Misogynoir places black women as separate from all other women because you are both misogynistic and specifically misogynistic to black women, which is what misogynoir would mean. As a black woman navigating the complexities of the DEI space, it's essential that I prioritize my well-being and protect myself amidst various challenges. Shared workplace mental health advocate Natasha Bowman. It is important to recognize that progress in the DEI space often comes with struggles and setbacks. We must stay resilient to persevere in the face of adversity, drawing strength from our achievements and advancements. We must surround ourselves with a supportive community of peers, mentors, and advocates who uplift and affirm our experiences. For Black women in the DEI space, self-care and advocacy are a daily practice, shared equity consultant Sasha Thompson. Since I left corporate and started the equity equation, my self-care practices have been at the forefront of how I operate in this space. This is done with intentionality and not in response to external forces. As Black women, we have to be more intentional in filling our cups in whichever ways we need, and then giving to others from our overflow. We have to be at the forefront of our minds, not an afterthought. We must honor our needs and not dismiss them as selfish, which is what we've been taught through the years. This is part of the reason why I ask every guest I have on the podcast, what do you do to fill your cup? And she does. We have watched many interviews of Sasha on her channel. She does ask this in every interview. Because it is important that we talk about it and remind ourselves that it's okay to do what we need to do for ourselves. What is this? What is this? What is this? Article by Sander van Noorderdende? Sustainability, equity, and growth? Businesses are more than economic entities? I guess it's just from some weird placeholder video. For Black women working in DEI, building community and prioritizing joy are essential, explained Perfecta CEO Letitia Bird. My wish for us all is to prioritize wellness and protect our peace at the time by practicing mindfulness, chasing joy relentlessly, and leaning on community. We are community builders. We know how to create communities. Now it's time for us to lean on and get support from our communities. Invest in mental health resources and support. I knew this year was going to be a tough one for this industry. Starting at the beginning of the year, I began to focus heavily on wellness and mindfulness. This means I have integrated mindfulness practices into my daily life. Fitness, journaling, yoga, building mental stamina at this time has kept me going. Staying true to my why and reminding myself of why I do what I do keeps me going. I think about our elders, our predecessors at this time, like the great Shirley Chisholm, Audre Lorde, etc., how they kept going and showing up in spaces where they weren't wanted. I have no idea who those two people are. Where their voice was absolutely needed but not desired. Build your mental wellness toolkit. You will need all those tools this year, sis. And please remember, you are not alone. What can Black women in DEI do to protect themselves? DEI thought partner and strategist Adrielle Parker shared in an email. When I started working in tech back in 2015, that's when I started to learn about internet privacy, cybersecurity, and doxing. I know there's some people who are going to get giga-fucking triggered that has 2 X's in it, man. I can hear the screaming already. At the time, the company I worked for took security very seriously. And while I found it a little annoying at the time, I can't tell you how valuable some of those lessons have been. I was recently trolled, which means I've been doing something right. And I was so grateful for all that I've learned since being in tech. Be mindful of what you post, for example. If you take a photo or video at home, be mindful of the background giving away your location. Consider subscribing to an identity protection app. It's like insurance for the digital world. And be sure to use 2-factor authentication or other second security layers whenever possible. This is just good advice, actually. Like this is just good advice for anyone who operates online, right? Many Black women are reimagining the way that they approach DEI work and focusing on ways to protect their peace. For years, I have exclaimed that I am no longer clamoring to sit at tables where my sanity, safety, and soul are on the menu, shared Amira Barger, Executive Vice President at Edelman. I'm tired of contorting. I'm not taking protein. I just had a huge fucking protein fruit shake, chat. I already had protein today. Tired. Thank you for reminding me, though. I appreciate you caring about my health, you cute. A DEI person giving good advice. Who would have thought that's possible? I know, right? I'm tired of contorting to make spaces for others in spaces that ought to be occupied by Black women. What does she mean by that? What do you mean ought to be occupied by Black women? I hope that other Black women protect themselves by permitting themselves to RSVP to no, not right now, next option, and never, or any other iteration of autonomy to tables that no longer serve them. Figuring out their own ways to move DEI forward, Black women are refusing to burn themselves out or be overwhelmed by setbacks and the anti-DEI noise. Black women are quite literally dying in our attempt to save the world from itself, shared global DEI executive Crystal Johnson. How are these DEI priests literally dying? Can I have who is what? Over the last year, are they literally dying like trans people were literally dying if you bought Wizard Game? Is that like the rhetoric they're using here? Over the last year, I've opted out of the idea that creating impact comes at the sacrifice of my joy, my peace, and my life. As a DEI practitioner, I will always show up and do my best, but I no longer burden myself with guilt when I don't see massive leaps in progress at an enterprise level. Instead, I focus on the micro wins that have influenced massive change in the lives of the individuals I serve. It is important that Black women in DEI remain vigilant and realize that attacks on this work and those who engage in this work will continue. History has shown us that resistance follows a cyclical pattern. When there is progress being made, there will always be a sector of the population that fights against it. On the dark days of DEI, it is important to remind ourselves that the promised land that Martin Luther King Jr. spoke about is well within our reach. We've come too far to turn back now. But don't worry, guys. DEI's going away. We're definitely winning. They've stopped. They're not doing it anymore. You mean regress? Yeah, no, promised land, by the way. And I think this is another one. Sasha. Nope, this isn't from Sasha. So what is this from? What is this from specifically? This is Lily Zhang. Okay, so this is a Lily Zhang piece. This is by Lily Zhang. Okay. Inclusion Hub. And this is completely unrelated. So from seeing Sasha in the little round table thingy here with Lily Zhang, I wanted to figure out how the fuck I knew who Lily Zhang was. Because I genuinely don't remember. And so I looked up Lily Zhang and see if she did anything else with Sasha Thompson, or if this was like a one-off thing. And I didn't really find anything else with her and Sasha Thompson, but I did find, this is a 5 years ago post, by the way. 5 years ago, Lily Zhang, diversity, equity, and inclusion strategist, best-selling author of Reconstructing DEI and DEI Deconstructed. It's not every day you come across a free online D&I conference 5 years ago. D&I. Not using equity. With such a powerhouse lineup, each day of the conference you register for gives you 24-hour access to that day's talks. Make sure to sign up your organization's leadership, HR, task group, ERG, and D&I teams, so you don't miss out on the opportunity here. I know I'll be tuning in to listen to my fellow speakers, especially Jennifer Brown and Mara Kiesling. Major kudos to Rhodes Perry, MPA, he, him, for making this happen. There's a little image here of Lily, and it says, every DEI strategy should be targeting middle managers and finding ways to build their literacy with DEI topics. Many workplaces over-focus on the C-suite or the frontline staff, but then the organization ends up flat as a pancake because no one knows how to hold power. No one knows how to use power. No one gets anywhere. An organization is only as strong as its middle managers. Those middle managers need to be brought into the fold of DEI priesthood, honestly. Oh no, she has the problem haircut. And so moving on, I was like, how else am I going to find information on this person that I don't know? I went to the farming pastures and I looked up her name out of curiosity. It turns out that she and Liz Fong Jones knew a guy who was outed for being really creepy, a guy named Dr. Headcrash. Apparently Dr. Headcrash retweeted a ton of Lily Zhang stuff on Twitter. I don't know all that much about Liz Fong Jones. I tried to see if there was anything that Lily Zhang and Liz Fong Jones had done together. They were both on a podcast at one point. Not together. They were on separate episodes of the podcast. Let me see if I have that the thing up here. There is... Where is it? This was looking for Sasha Thompson, Lily Zhang, and Liz Fong Jones. What's the name of the podcast they were on? It was some gendered thing. Some gender thing. Gender Reveal. It's called Gender Reveal Podcast. And Lily Zhang was on episode 142 of the Gender Podcast, and Liz Fong Jones was on episode 169. So that was the only link between Liz Fong Jones and Lily Zhang that I could find, besides the fact that Dr. Head Crash guy followed both of them and retweeted both of them. And the only other thing that came up was a thread in 2023 of an article called "The DEI Industry Needs to Check Its Privilege." And this mentions Lily Zhang in the article. Hold on, let me grab that article because it's in the wrong browser. Did this podcast cause any wildfires? Liz consent accident Fong Jones. Yeah, I found that really interesting. Oh god, it's eating itself. They really want us to believe it's about diversity, equity, and inclusion, but in reality, it's division, exclusion, and incursion. True. You hate when your internet goes on the bloop for half a minute. Isn't Liz Fong Jones the crazy person who has a huge hate boner for Kiwi Farms and actively participated in the ruination? Yes, that is exactly who that is. That is exactly who that is. So this article, "The DEI Industry Needs to Check Its Privilege. The Worst of the Industry is Expensive and Runs from Useless to Counterproductive" by Connor Friedersdorf. And this is May 31st, 2023. This is when B.R.I.D.G.E.DEI was also pumping out articles. Right, B.R.I.D.G.E.DEI had been pumping out articles since early 2023 or late 2022, talking about making their inclusion index, talking about making their IMAX fucking giant bubble thing. So B.R.I.D.G.E.DEI was already working on this knowledge that the industry was not doing enough. The diversity, equity, and inclusion industry exploded in 2020 and 2021, but it is undergoing a reckoning of late. And not just in states controlled by Republicans, where officials are dismantling DEI bureaucracies in public institutions. Corporations are cutting back on DEI spending and personnel. News outlets such as the New York Times and New York Magazine are pushing more articles that cover the industry with skepticism. And DEI practitioners themselves are raising concerns about how their competitors operate. So even as far back as early last year, when basically it was only Bud Light in the limelight for this stuff, they were already trying to push articles about how there is a lot of corporations cutting back on the DEI spending. How many of those corporations actually did that? How many actually did that? Like, we have gone through the past year showing how all of these companies basically have been paying lip service. And now, in the current times, we have people doing the same exact thing, pushing the "look at us, we are winning." Ironically, the lol cow farmers are also lol cows. Oh my god. Pushing more articles that cover the industry with skepticism. I already read that part. The scrutiny is overdue. This growing multi-billion-dollar industry was embedded into so many powerful public and private institutions so quickly that due diligence was skipped and costly failures guaranteed. Now and forever, employers should advertise jobs to applicants of all races and ethnicities, afford everyone an equal opportunity to be hired and promoted, manage workplaces free of discrimination, and foster company cultures where everyone is treated with dignity. America should conserve any gains it has made in recent years toward an equal opportunity economy. Perhaps the best of the DEI industry spurred the country in that direction. However, the worst of the DEI industry is expensive and runs from useless to counterproductive. And even people who highly value diversity and inclusion should feel queasy about the DEI gold rush that began in 2020 after the murder of George Floyd. Saint Floyd, infant be his name, has been mentioned. A poor black man's death became a pretext to sell hazily defined consulting services to corporations, as if billions in outlays, mostly among relatively privileged corporate workers, was an apt and equitable response. A radical course correction is warranted, but first, let's reflect on how we got here. On rare occasions, a depraved act captures the attention of a nation so completely that there is a widespread impulse to vow never again, and to act in the hope of making good on that promise. Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination prompted the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1968. The terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, triggered a global war against Al-Qaeda, among many other things, including the tenuously connected invasion and occupation of Iraq. Floyd's murder was similarly galvanizing. Are they trying to compare George Floyd to Martin Luther King in September 11th? What? Arresting, trying, and convicting the police officers involved in implementing new police training was the most immediate response. But Floyd's story suggested some additional possibilities. With several criminal convictions in the past, Floyd tried to turn his life around, preaching nonviolence in a neighborhood plagued by gun crime, serving as a mentor to young people, and trying to stay employed. He also struggled with drug addiction, layoffs due to circumstances beyond his control, and money problems that presumably played a role in the counterfeit bill he was trying to pass on the day that he was killed. If a callous police officer was the primary cause of his death, secondary causes were as complex and varied as poverty in America. So how strange, how obscene, in fact, that America's professional class largely reacted to Floyd's murder not by lavishing so much of the resources spent in his name on helping poor people, or the formerly or currently incarcerated, or people with addictions, or the descendants of slaves and sharecroppers, or children of single mothers, or graduates of underfunded high schools, but rather by hiring DEI consultants to gather employees together for training. In what exactly? It is often hard to say. What one has been trained to do after hearing Robin DiAngelo, the best-selling author and social justice educator, lecture on what she calls white fragility, or after pondering a slide deck with cartoons meant to illustrate the difference between equality and equity as critical theorists understand it. Or after absorbing the racial equity consultant Tama Okun's widely circulated claims, attributing including a sense of urgency and beliefs including individualism are traits of white supremacy culture. Okun made those claims in a 1999 article that even she regards as widely misused. She once told an interviewer about the article, "It was not researched. I didn't sit down and deliberate. It just came through me." She has launched a website that explains her views in far more detail and with more nuance. I don't know, because wasn't that also used in that fucking museums bullshit as well? Consider a specific PR pitch from a DEI consultant in 2021 chosen for how typical it is. It leads by invoking Floyd's death as the impetus to take bolder actions. It promises expertise in best practices to corporate leaders. Then it pivots to naming a specific training on offer. And this is pretty much how every single article we read on this stuff begins. Kind of like how the Bible is God speaking through the writers. Microaggressions in the workplace, which, along with other offerings, will help create a culture where employees feel valued and are encouraged to be their true selves, celebrating each individual's uniqueness. The pitch claims that this training enables talent acquisition, retention, and career advancement. It is not inappropriate to use an unemployed black man's murder by police to justify expenditures on reducing unintentional microaggressions at work so the bosses can retain more talent. I misread the beginning. It says, is it not inappropriate? Is it not inappropriate? And I think most people would say, yeah, it is inappropriate. Of course, setting aside unseemly invocations of Floyd's name, an initiative needn't be a coherent response to his death to be defensible or worthwhile. All companies should invest in being equal opportunity employers, including affirmative steps to ensure, for example, that managers haven't unwittingly introduced unjust pay disparities or culturally biased dress codes. I like how the author of this article keeps using equal opportunity, so it kind of positions him as like not quite pushing DEI. Beyond that, if DEI consultants made life better for marginalized groups or people of color or any other identifiable cohort within a given corporation or organization, or boosted corporate profits so that their fees paid for themselves, the industry could be justified on different terms. But most DEI consulting fails those tests. Harvard Business Review published an article in 2012 called "Diversity Training Doesn't Work," which drew heavily on research published in 2007 by the sociologist Frank Dobbin, Alexandra Kalev, and Erin Kelly. A study of 829 companies over 31 years showed that diversity training had no positive effects in the average workplace, the article reported. Millions of dollars a year were spent on the training, resulting in, well, nothing. In 2018, Dobbin and Kalev wrote that hundreds of studies dating back to the 1930s suggest that anti-bias training does not reduce bias, alter behavior, or change the workplace. When we first started looking into B.R.I.D.G.E.I, a lot of the articles coming out would quote these studies from years ago that said that diversity training didn't help anything, and that the reason that it didn't help anything was because it was merely people checking a box and not caring about the work. And there were articles that said that most companies are 20 plus years behind on fixing racial justice. They are 20 plus years behind on fixing wage disparity. So instead of looking at this and being like, wow, are we the bad guys? They looked at it and said, how can we use this to further our agenda that we're currently trying to push? Portending the 2020 explosion of DEI, they continued, we have been speaking to employers about this research for more than a decade, with the message that diversity training is likely the most expensive and least effective diversity program around. But they persist, worried about the optics of getting rid of training, concerned about litigation, unwilling to take more difficult but consequential steps, or simply in the thrall of glossy training materials and their purveyors. And no wonder the DEI consultants struggle to be effective. In a 2021 article in the Annual Review of Psychology, a team of scholars concluded that the underlying research on how to intervene to reduce prejudice is itself flawed and underwhelming, while regularly oversold. And we also already knew this as well. We've talked about the McKinsey study. A paper published in the 2022 Annual Review of Psychology concluded, in examining hundreds of articles on the topic, we discovered that the literature is amorphous and complex, and does not allow us to reach decisive conclusions regarding best practices in diversity training. The authors continued, we suggest that the enthusiasm for and monetary investment in diversity training has outpaced the available evidence that such programs are effective in achieving their goals. Those outside the industry are hardly alone in levying harsh critiques. Many industry insiders are scathing as well. Last year in Harvard Business Review, Lily Zhang, a diversity, equity, and inclusion strategist, consultant, and speaker, posited that the DEI industrial complex has a big, poorly kept secret. The actual efficacy of most trainings and interventions is lower than many practitioners make it out to be. In Zhang's telling, the industry's problems flow in large part from the extreme lack of standards, consistency, and accountability among DEI practitioners. Zhang was even more blunt in comments to New York in 2021. When your clients are these companies that are desperate to do anything and don't quite understand how this works, ineffective DEI work can be lucrative. And we're seeing cynicism pop up as a result. That DEI is just a shitty way in which companies burn money. And I'm like, yeah, it can be. What if instead of burning the money, we simply redirected it to the poor? Yes, I understand that it isn't as if that money would have gone to the neediest among us, but for the DEI initiatives of the past few years, still, I am being serious when I propose the alternative. I should note that The Atlantic, like many other media companies, holds DEI training for new hires. These trainings include discussions of Okun's critique of sense of urgency and an updated version of the equity/equality cartoon. And basically, Zhang is calling out people here. Zhang is saying, I'm doing the work correctly. I'm not just flinging myself and collecting $15,000 checks to do speeches. I'm actually doing the work to transform change that I want to see. I'm not like these ones that Zhang would probably call grifters, who are just trying to sell speeches and get easy paydays while not actually committing to doing the work necessary to bring about the cultural change that they want. The DEI spending of 2020 and 2021 was a signal sent from executives to workers that the bosses are good people who value DEI, a signal executives sent because many workers valued it. Put another way, the outlays were symbolic. At best, they symbolize something like, we care and we're willing to spend money to prove it. But don't results matter more than the intention? A more jaded appraisal is that many kinds of DEI spending symbolize not a real commitment to diversity or inclusion, let alone equity, but rather the instinctive talent that college-educated Americans have for directing resources to our class in ways that make us feel good. In that telling, the DEI consulting industry is social justice progressivism's analog to trickle-down economics. Unrigorous trainings are held, mostly for college graduates with full-time jobs and health insurance, as if by changing us, the marginalized will somehow benefit. But in fact, the poor, or the marginalized, or people of color, or descendants of slaves, would benefit far more from a fraction of the DEI industry's profits. It would be too sweeping to say that no DEI consultant should ever get hired. Underneath the jargony umbrella is a subset of valuable professionals who have expertise in things like improving hiring procedures, boosting retention, resolving conflict, facilitating hard conversations after a lawsuit, processing a traumatic event, or assessing and fixing an actually discriminatory workplace. In an ideal circumstance, a company might need one or more of those skills. Ideally, a larger organization develops human resource teams with all of those skills. But the reflective hiring of DEI consultants with dubious expertise and hazy methods is like setting money on fire in a nation where too many people are struggling just to get by. The professional class should feel good about having done something for social justice, not after conducting or attending a DEI session, but after giving money to poor people. And to any CEO eager to show social justice-minded employees that he or she cares, I urge this. Before hiring a DEI consultant, calculate the cost and let workers vote on whether that money should go to the DEI consultant or be given to the poor. Presented with that choice, I bet most workers would make the equitable decision. Oh, man. The economics is the new trickle. Yeah, I know. As you know. Ironic choice of words for silly people. Very ironic choice of words for very silly people. And remember how we've been reading all of this current flowery language about how we need to usher white men back into the conversation because too long have we told them it's your fault for everything and that doesn't get them on board with pushing the ideology? In 2019, Lily Zheng wrote an article, How to Show White Men That Diversity and Inclusion Efforts Need Them. Most leaders of big corporations outwardly support diversity and inclusion efforts, but in my work as a diversity and inclusion consultant, I frequently get a behind-the-scenes look at how leaders truly feel, and a surprising number of people, from line managers to C-suite executives, express notably less enthusiastic opinions in private. It seems like I'm not wanted in the room when D&I conversations start happening, one person told me. It feels like I'm part of the problem, another said in frustration. And a third, in a rare admission of a common sentiment, said, it seems like everyone is out to get the white guys. True and real. According to the White Men's Leadership Study, a study of white men and diversity and inclusion, the single biggest challenge to engaging in D&I efforts, as noted by almost 70% of white men surveyed, is knowing whether they are wanted. This may sound like an unfounded sentiment to D&I practitioners who make great efforts to involve leaders in their initiatives, but rather than dismiss this reluctance, it would be far better to understand how and why it happens. Understanding root causes will allow us to figure out how to make leaders into allies, not enemies. Why some leaders feel defensive, even innocuous comments that identify the existence of identity-based discrimination may land very differently with different people. For individuals who have experienced marginalization, these comments can feel empowering, giving voice to their experiences. Others may respond empathetically, even if they haven't had the specific experience referenced. But for some people, especially those who have never faced marginalization for their identities, these comments can land the wrong way. Why? One of the functions of privilege is rarely having to think about privileged identities as identities. In America, historical power inequities make it so women, people of color, religious minorities, disabled people, and LGBTQ+ people are constantly reminded of their differences, while men, white people, able-bodied people, straight people, and cisgender people can go their entire lives without thinking actively about their masculinity, whiteness, able-bodied, heterosexuality, or cisgender status. This person is wholly fucking delusional. For privileged leaders, seemingly innocuous workplace comments can be some of the first times they explicitly think about their race, gender, or sexuality. These leaders may hear mentions of a group they belong in, find those parts of their identities more salient than ever, and sensing critique, get defensive. Take these examples. When a woman says, "A man catcalled me the other day at work," a white man in the audience might sit up a little straighter, thinking consciously or subconsciously, "I'm a man and my group is being attacked." If someone asserts that, white fragility makes hard conversations about race even harder. A white person might think, "I'm white and being characterized as fragile is offensive." Or when a queer person admits, "My teammate hurt me when they assume that I'm straight like them." Their colleague might think, "I'm straight. Is that supposed to be my fault?" What? What? Is it offensive if somebody assumes you're straight? I never got offended when people assumed I was a lesbian. What the fuck is this? I was just like, oh no, I'm actually not gay, but thank you. The ass slap was thumbs up. Thanks lady. Sociologist Robin DiAngelo calls these sorts of defensive overreactions to race-based criticisms white fragility, and argues that it stems from a lack of racial stamina due to white people's insulation from genuine conversations about race. Put simply, they haven't had a safe space to explore these topics, and for many people, this is the first time they've thought carefully about their identity. Do you guys remember? This article was 2019, and I want to say it was like 2014 to maybe 2016, where some colleges were like, we need to usher in a racial awakening for white people as well. And everyone was like, hold on, wait a minute. What do you mean by that? Is that not assuming way too much and taking too much offense about it? It really is. It really is. Like, this is wild, dude. It's clear that we all, especially D.E.I practitioners, need to offer psychologically safe spaces for white people and privileged people to explore these conversations. If we just make enough re-education camps, but we paint it as they're not re-education camps, we say, we're going to give you safe spaces like we do everyone else, finally, they'll believe in our ideology and we can encapsulate them as our allies. They're trying to popularize segregation. Holy shit, have been for years now. Otherwise, we will continue to encounter defensiveness and won't get the support we seek from these leaders. In my own work, I've found two practices that help: framing identity as insight and focusing on equity. On framing identity as insight, D.E.I practitioners often frame identity as valuable, but only do so for marginalized identities. The rationale, which I agree with, is that uplifting people of color, women, LGBTQ+ people, immigrants, Jewish people, I feel like she'd get attacked for this one in current year based on the political climate, is necessary to counter the marginalization they experience in society. And it doesn't make sense to uplift straight white men for whom society is built. Yeah, fuck you guys, by the way. It doesn't make sense to uplift white men. They're fucking worthless. Why would you do that? Why would you? But you have to make them feel included. I know you don't want to. I know. I understand you don't want to deal with them, but like, you have to make them feel included. Even if you gotta lie to them, you gotta make them feel like you want them there. But building a DEI initiative on the rationale contributes to feelings that straight white men don't belong, a cost we can't afford in companies where power lies in the hands of the privileged. Yeah, you subvert those fucking idiots. You take their positions. We can, however, reframe this rationale into a strengths-based approach, identity as an insight. Hold on a second. My brain. A cost we can't afford in companies where power lies in the hands of the privileged. Didn't that Sweet Baby Inc. fucking lunatic earlier? Didn't he have in one of his slides that you can't dismantle the master's house with the master's tools? Isn't that basically the same language here? Interesting. I'm noticing. Consider this statement. White people have a powerful and partial understanding of how race works in society. Statements like these name a privileged identity, white, attach constrained value to it, powerful and partial, and then situate it in a context that encourages future conversation, how race works in society. They're also easy to expand into larger conversations with questions like, how do other racial groups understand how race works in society? How are their experiences different? Why? I used this framing recently when speaking as a guest lecturer to a group of leaders who had flown in from around the country for a Berkeley Haas College's Equitable and Inclusive Leadership class. I told them, you're all experts in how gender works in your workplace. The women in the room nodded, but the men looked more dubious. I know a lot about how my workplace works, one man commented. What to do if you want a promotion, how to resolve problems, how decisions get made. But my wife is teaching me that those things don't work the same for her. She's the expert in gender, not me. That's right, men, you don't have a gender. I reframed his first statement. What you're saying is that your wife knows a lot about how your workplace works for women, and that you know a lot about how your workplace works for men. Focusing on equality. Equality or fairness is one of the most powerful shared beliefs in our culture.
That was a spicy cat raid.
Horror historian, welcome. Thank you for the raid. We're talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and insane people. Welcome, raiders. Welcome, Raiders. I haven't gotten to the video game yet because I'm a fucking yap maxer. Equality or fairness is one of the most powerful shared beliefs in our culture, that everyone should have a fair shot at life and be rewarded for what they have achieved. When working with straight white male leaders, I often tell them, I know you care about equality in your organization, and being a straight white man gives you enormous insight and expertise into how your organization works for other people like you. It's your job as a leader to figure out what it's like for other people and make sure everyone has a positive experience. These 3 sentences help in several ways. First, they name the often unnamed identities of straight, white, and man without blame or shame. Second, they celebrate the value of these identities in the form of expertise, while also being honest about the limits of such expertise. A straight white man will not, for example, start off knowing what their organization is like for a bisexual Indigenous woman. And third, they explicitly tie the humility and curiosity necessary for successful D&I work to what it means to be a good leader. We all know that they don't actually want equality. We know that it's equity. And we know that they want these people in power to submit to the ideology that they're selling. So it's really interesting when they're just like, here's exactly how we plan on manipulating the dumb white men to get them on our side. This probably has worked countless fucking times, too. Flattery will get you everywhere, truly. So they're just like, put a little bit of flattery in there. You're so good at what you do, white man. If you're so good at what you do, you should be able to tackle some of these other things. Legalese language to subvert expectations. Do you see my point about how these people are relentless in rebranding? They don't seem very organized and don't seem to have a plan. They have a plan, they're just not very good at implementing it too well. I mean, they're good in the way that they were able to subvert the gaming industry very fucking hardcore, right? Look at the way things were during Gamergate 1, and look at how bad they've gotten, because people just stopped noticing as much, right? That's why noticing is part of what's so important. They wouldn't have been able to get to the point of all these baby ghosts and all these sweet baby consultants if we had kept the pushback up. Isn't this just an abusive relationship, brutal, demeaning, and insults followed by flowery and fluttery compliments to appease the pain? Yeah, pretty much. In the 1970s, Elliot Aronson and his students developed and popularized a teaching technique called the jigsaw classroom that involved each student in a group of part of a solution and requiring they collaborate to solve a problem. This is an interdependent act of shared learning in which everyone brings valuable knowledge and no one can come to an answer themselves, and an apt analogy for how we can bring more privileged leaders into D&I efforts. By understanding our unique experiences as pieces of a complex puzzle, we can diffuse defensiveness and find a way to create a more equitable world. I'm glad they went back to using equitable instead of equality, you know? They like using equality, so we don't pay attention to what they're doing necessarily. I drove you to this. You're having a drink and an Uncrustable. Not the Uncrustables! What if one of the students is a screw up? Your job is to just sit around and think up bullshit. True. And real. This was... Let me see if I have this open in a tab here. Yeah, okay. There was a podcast. It's 44 minutes. I haven't listened to the podcast. But just real quick, there is a podcast here. Are workplace diversity programs doing more harm than good? Employers everywhere are deploying DEI programs to be less racist, but do they even work? And this was August 11th, 2021. It's time to rethink what working in the modern workplace and what's failing. Amid a pandemic that overturned how so many work, increased calls for racial and social justice put a new pressure on companies to ensure, or at least seem as if they ensure, equality among their employees. Diversity, equity, and inclusion programs are an increasingly popular solution deployed by management. But do these initiatives do marginalized employees any good? And who are the true beneficiaries of diversity programs anyway? Jane Costin has spent years on the receiving end of diversity initiatives, and for that reason, she's skeptical. To debate DEI programs' efficacy, she brought together Dr. Sonia Kang, an associate professor of organizational behavior and human resource management, who studies identity, diversity, and inclusion at the University of Toronto, and Lily Zhang, a DEI strategy consultant and public speaker, to argue what works and what doesn't when it comes to making workplaces fair for all. And mentioned in the podcast, Sonia King's podcast For the Love of Work, episode Leaning into Diversity, Equity, and Belonging, Lily Zhang, a Harvard Business Review, this is the article we just read, Kim Tran, Hopper's Bazaar, The Diversity and Inclusion Industry Has Lost Its Way, Frank Dobin and Alexandra Kalev, this was mentioned in another article we read earlier, Why Diversity Programs Fail, and the Washington Post, To Improve Diversity, Don't Make People Go to Diversity Training. Really? And so even as far back as 2021, they were trying to stop companies from just checking boxes and have them actually commit to doing the work for the ideological cultural change they wanted to bring about. 2021 was when the first bridge was set up as a DEI monitoring system. So not Cheryl Dyja's bridge, but a different bridge. It's not just worthless, it's actually harmful. To them, it's harmful that DEI isn't going far enough. To them, the problem is that DEI isn't doing enough, not that it exists at all. And that Kim Clark woman, Kim Clark is also huge. I looked at her website, and this looks like one of those mega church websites, you know? Kim Clark Communications. Bring the power and possibility of diversity, equity, and inclusion together with the power and possibility of words and narratives to become a DEI communicator. Wow, what a whole lot of fucking nonsense that sentence is. The no-nonsense DEI communications agency where language leads to action. We believe in zero BS in the workplace, and we never BS our clients. True DEI communications takes guts. Fortunately, we can help. With a communications-focused, client-specific approach, we meet you where you are to get you where you need to go. How many bridges are there? A lot of people, when I first started talking about Bridge back in January, they only looked at the first Bridge initiative that was set up as DEI monitoring, and they dismissed it entirely as, oh, this is just changing the language of DEI to Bridge. It's a new acronym. So many people that like talk about DEI in their content completely hand-waved it away from just looking at the first Bridge initiative and not even paying attention to Cheryl Dyja's bridge, which is very unfortunate. Fucking bless up Jeremy at the Quartering and Side Scrollers. Yellow Flash had me on to talk about it as well. So many people who actually didn't just wave me off completely. Don't notice the logo. Stop noticing. They have a mission. Maybe you hear DEI and think, I don't know, or even I don't care. But the train of cultural evolution has left the station and it's not turning back. Cultural evolution. It's not turning back. True DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, along with belonging, accessibility, and justice, is not only an urgent social requirement, but a proven necessity to organizational performance. True DEI has never been tried, comrades. It will work this time. I also like the urgent social requirement. Cheryl Dyja and Bridge have made DEI out to be a moral imperative. It is not just a moral imperative, but it is something that needs to be embedded in every company's culture. Founded by DEI communication thought leader and best-selling author Kim Clark Communications is in the business of results, tangible DEI communications that deliver powerful return on investment. The destination is always the same, true DEI, yet there are different paths to reach it. Just as no two individuals are the same, neither are any two organizations. Through our comprehensive suite of services, we partner with clients to build effective DEI communication strategies for every situation, financial or otherwise. Our zero bullshit philosophy applies to us, too. We understand every client has different attitudes and appetites towards DEI, and that's okay. We can work with that. Both in our approach and variety of services, we can offer every organization, even the skeptics, an effective DEI communication strategy. This means teaching what DEI actually is, so content creators and communicators are accurate and compelling in their DEI efforts. content creators, huh? It means illustrating the benefits of true DEI to re-engage both leaders and employees. It means DEI communications that aren't performative, but actually perform. Last Friday of the month, monthly live coaching. Join Kim and other communicators by enrolling in our DEI communications course and coaching community. If that's free, I might have to. Communicate Like You Give a Damn podcast. And this is where I found it interesting, right? On Sasha's channel, DEI After 5, she has every single DEI After 5 that she's recorded. However, in looking up if Sasha has done anything with Kim, because I couldn't find anything else she'd done with Lily Zhang, in finding stuff with Kim, episode 39, The Equity Equation. The Equity Equation with Sasha Thompson. This equity equation is not on Sasha Thompson's channel. This one is only on Kim Clark's channel. It's 51 minutes. I haven't had a chance to watch it because I found all of this shit like just as I was going to bed. I was like, holy fuck, what is happening? What is happening here? The Communicate Like You Give a Damn podcast welcomes Sasha Thompson, founder of The Equity Equation, and this was earlier this year in February, a pioneering consultancy dedicated to fostering diverse and inclusive corporate cultures. Together, Sasha and host Kim Clark delve into the vital role of leaders in fostering psychological safety and inclusive environments within organizations. Sasha emphasizes the importance of leaders modeling behavior that encourage pushback, learning, and meaningful contribution from their teams. They discuss the misconception of DEI as solely a recruitment strategy, highlight the necessity of internal inclusion efforts. Sasha illustrates the preparation required for organizational change and importance of communication plans for internal challenges, while Kim emphasizes the significance of communication in building a compelling vision of inclusive culture year-round, beyond symbolic gestures during cultural moments. They even explore storytelling as a tool. Yeah, that's how my brain feels. To humanize DEI efforts and suggest shifting language to empower marginalized communities. 35 views. 35 views. Literally no one has fucking watched this. Literally no one. And I also found the speaker reel. This has 48 views. This was 10 months ago. This is book Kim Clark to speak, present, or facilitate, or train. Kim Clark, she, her, works with leaders and communicators who are serious about learning and applying diversity, equity, and inclusion to build strong teams and organizations.
Progress isn't linear. It's a spiral. So it comes around and it comes around. This time, when we come around that corner, we're taking more of us with us.
Literally sounds like a fucking preacher, dude. Literally sounds like a preacher.
Taking our leaders with us. We're taking people who have felt out of this work. We're taking more with us so they can see where we're going and that they are included.
Kim Clark focuses on the communicator and content creator's role in diversity, equity, and inclusion.
And again, because people thought that content creators had such a big role in order to help push diversity, equity, and inclusion, we saw with Campbell's Soup and the NFL, we saw with their weird Twitch channel that had next to no views on it, we saw with Enthusiast Gaming having basically a coup, outing their CEO and trying to instill DEI in everything they were doing, fudging their numbers. We've seen that people are trying to get in and trying to buy off content creators. Even recently, we had the issue with, what was it, the Act Blue or whatever it was? Brianna Wu was like paying specific content creators in order to push talking points. Was it Act Blue or was it some other organization? I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of which one it was. Flying Thundercat, thank you for the 3-month resub. Thank you. Heaven's Gate Death Cult. She offers you Kool-Aid, just say no.
Most DEI efforts, and especially social justice efforts, fail because they are without vision and without intent.
Her
Kim is a clearly very passionate and great representative of the DEI space.
Audiences leave her talks with a deeper understanding of how language leads to
This was one of the best DE&I sessions I've attended. Kim is engaging and thought-provoking.
Behavior and practical action steps to take back back to their team.
That was weird. I don't know why it refreshed like that. From the very beginning of the training, I was riveted.
DEI will not be successful, cannot be successful in organizations unless communicators understand our role and get educated on what DEI actually is.
She is the co-author of the Amazon #1 bestseller, The Conscious Communicator, The Fine Art of Not Saying Stupid Shit. As the founder of Kim Clark Communications, her firm is leading DEI communications and social justice messaging guidelines for...
And on the screen it says she's worked with LinkedIn, PlayStation, Zendesk, Typeform, Justice. It's got a little Canadian maple leaf, so that's probably a Canadian company. Oh, you guys can't see LinkedIn and PlayStation. It's cut off on the top of my screen. But those two at the top are LinkedIn and PlayStation. PlayStation, wow, really? $400 million. Internal Association of Business Communicators, a PRSA, IMCA Ignite, whatever SCORE is, the Art and Science of Risk, the EDF, SIMS, and IR-DITO. I don't know what any of those are.
Organizations.
We have to step into this work. We're the ones that can really catapult the work. And
the work? You will believe in the work, chat. It is a moral imperative.
Move it forward.
Kim's career spans documentary filmmaking, teaching at San Jose State University, and leading global internal communication teams at KLA, PayPal, GoDaddy, and GitHub.
We need to foster that learning environment to support people through their paths and just be there for them through this work. There's no turning back, my friends. There's only forward.
Kim speaks at conferences, runs custom workshops for communicators, content creators, managers, leaders, and general employee audiences.
And we will not just stand, but we will withstand. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, there's a lot of myths and a lot of paradigm shifting that we have to go through to truly understand what this work is about.
She is known for her ability to facilitate sensitive yet urgent conversations to make meaningful progress in creating inclusive workspaces.
We have to create as communicators that vision.
Oh my God.
That narrative.
Corpse jump scare.
See themselves in it, see themselves as successful in it, and benefiting from it.
She helps her audiences realize that DEI efforts cannot be successful without a solid DEI communications strategy. She helps organizations avoid being performative and run into risky social topic situations unprepared.
Please be consistent in telling the stories, and tell the stories from an authentic way. Newsflash, I'm not gay just in June.
This fucking woman, please.
Big reveal.
She leaves a lasting impact on every audience she works with.
This is when our character is formed in times like these. My money is on communicators.
She's gay, you never would have guessed. How else are you going to get one of these positions as a white woman? You don't have any diversity points. You got to pretend to be gay, right?
Turn this around.
All this and so much more is what you can expect when working with Kim Clark. Please help me in welcoming the leading voice in DEI communications, Kim Clark.
Book it, KimClarkCommunications.com. I mean, maybe she's not pretending to be a lesbian, but that's literally the only way you can get fucking victim points anymore as a white woman. Brought to you by The Onion. Yeah, it does sound like this should be in The Onion, as it were. And I watched a little bit of this. I didn't watch the full thing. But Kim Clark also did an interview with Lily Zhang. Only 20 views 8 months ago.
Oh, I found it.
Only 20 views. I did not get to finish watching this, so we'll probably have to do like a little watching spree of some of these videos shortly here, because there's a lot of these that I think need help to be watched. Roaches stick together. Your face on this whole topic, yeah. Yeah. Maybe there are other people who remember more about Lily Zhang than I do, because again, the name sounds incredibly fucking familiar, but I couldn't find anything super relevant that would make me remember why I know that name. Lily looks like she worked for Arasaka from Cyberpunk. Is Zhang, don't say it, but you know, you're right. The picture for Lily is not flattering. Well, you know. Why do you torture us? Again, you need to know what these people are trying to do so you know how to fight against it. You can get victim points as a white woman by defending black men, aka George Floyd. That's an old playbook. Yeah, but now they're kind of tired of that, right? They're kind of tired of white women using the black struggle to gain ally points. She claims to be a lesbian. Does she have to prove it? I mean, I don't care. I don't care. The shaved side of the head. Not like a badge or anything. Can we get some W's on stream? Oh my god. Kirsche, my brain is too soupy to retain the knowledge. Look, if my soupy ass brain can retain knowledge, yours sure fucking can. I believe in you. I believe in you. I just can't believe that fucking Sasha now has her own website. Woman with 721 subscribers. Literally no fucking views. How does she get like consultation speaking? I wish I could be nepotism babied somewhere, dude. This seems so fucking cushy. It seems so fucking cushy.